My name is Amy Seibel. I'm co-founder and CEO of 12 Jobs.
And hi, everybody. My name is Nat Seelan. I am co-founder and chief of product.
12 Jobs is a job matching platform that's eliminating bias in the hiring process. More diverse companies typically outperform financially when compared with their less diverse competitors. But in a typical hiring process, identifying and signaling information like gender, race, or age, or even your photo might lead to some implicit bias that could cost companies some of their most promising candidates. To make matters worse, when you have a position that has lots and lots of applicants, it's just that much harder to find the perfect needle in the haystack. Of course, when you do get the right candidate, that person will be a really excellent employee and hopefully even outlast their other competitors. So 12 Jobs enables employers to really focus on what matters. We have candidates fill out a profile, which includes their qualifications, but also their goals, so we can take that into consideration in the matching process. And the employer also fills out a profile with the information regarding their position. Then we do an algorithmic match, and so the employers will see about 50 data points regarding their unique criteria and how the candidates compare to each of those. What they won't see is the identifying and signaling information. Also, they won't need to do any searching or sorting. They'll just see their best matches. So it speeds up the process for them, and it really helps all of the parties involved get the best fit. So we want to just do a brief walkthrough and then show you a sample match.
Cool. So give me just a moment, everybody, and I will take you to 12 Jobs. Great. So what we have here is this is the homepage for an employer who I just filled out the other day. This is our beta site. We've been live in private beta since this summer, and right now we're hiring a communications and development manager. And if we check out the profile, you can see all of the information that we're able to collect. The thing that makes the 12 Jobs match so powerful is that, unlike in a traditional resume or job posting, we're actually collecting a lot of the information that normally comes in far later in the process, and we're doing it in a very structured way so that we can easily input this information into our algorithm. We don't have to worry about parsing natural text or anything like that. So if I just scroll down, you can see we've got 10 different categories. We have search status. This is information that's really basic to the position. So is it permanent? Is it an employee? Is it an internship? When can the person start? And who are you who's filling this out? But then we also ask about location. We ask where it is. Actually, it's Seaport Boulevard. This one is in this building. We ask about the employee's ability to work remotely, travel, visa sponsorship, and we go into work time. All of these things are really important to whether a person is actually going to stay with a job and succeed in it, but they don't tend to come up until far later on. Same with compensation information. And you can see, I'm just going to scroll down. This takes about 10 minutes for an employer to fill out. We've been really happy to see in private beta that people just start it and then they finish it. At the same time, the job seeker is filling out this information too, so that we can make a really clean match that just says, this is someone who is likely to succeed. So once all of this is done and filled out, we once a week run the algorithm to match it, and then the employer gets to see something that looks just like this. And Amy, I think you're going to walk us through how to read the sample match.
Yep, so this is a sample match report. You can see that we've tried to make it really easily color-coded so that you can just glance and see, you can glance pretty quickly and see that this is a good candidate for you. Green is anything 8 or 9 or 10. So it's color-coded, and the other thing that you can see, other than how quickly glanceable it is that there's no identifying information, so you really don't know who this person is. But you can see the overall fit, the qualification fit, and the motivation fit right here, as well as each of the category headers, what those categories mean, and so these are the roll-up scores, and then you see, scrolling a little quickly, you see kind of the breakdown of what goes into those scores. So you can see this is what the employer is looking for. Well, this isn't additional skills that the candidate has, but usually these are what the employer is looking for, how the candidate's matches, how the candidate overlaps in terms of their experience, and then also whether the candidate is interested. So we're just about out of time here, but we're happy to talk about this more. You can stop by your table or visit us at 12jobs.com, and that's spelled out TWELVE jobs.com. So we look forward to any questions. Yes. So there's been some longitudinal studies that show that the average person is going to have at least 12 to 15 jobs during their lifetime. And we're working on finding people the perfect job that they really love and keeping it more on that 12 end. So, yes.
How do you monetize your business?
The employers pay. So there's a small fee that they pay to post, and then there's an additional fee that they pay if they have a successful hire. And we're working on a subscription model as well for those larger employers.
I noticed you have a web application. How customizable is that? So if I wanted to add a field, if I'm an employer, is that customizable at all? Or?
Since we're in our private beta test, yeah, we're very happy to work with employers to add fields that would be helpful to them. Someone back there, yes.
How did you guys select the name
Sure. So basically, this came from a couple of different positions. First of all, just a research review of what actually makes someone fit for a good job. There's a lot of information out there on what makes people in positions fit together. So that was step one. Step two was narrowing that down into information that could be easily quantified, because there's a lot of what goes into this fit that's not actually very easy to do online like this. And we figure that's what your interviewing process is really well suited to. And we're happy to point anyone who's interested in the direction of good resources on proper interviewing techniques too. And then the third step was going out and talking to people, talking to employers, and talking to job seekers too about the things that are really important to them. Sometimes what we'll see is there's information that we're collecting that is in the algorithm, but it's weighted really low. And we give job seekers and employers both the ability to do some of their own rating and say, for example, this is my ideal situation, but I actually don't care about travel at all. It just doesn't matter. Or I don't care about using my functional skills. So it's that combination of basically research, technical feasibility, and then talking to users.
Hey, those back there, some.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think there are basically two aspects to that question, right? One is the technical question of, is it discriminatory? And the other is the more marketing and PR question of, how do you make sure that people recognize it as such? I think for us, starting with the first one is really important. And basically, that involves using the best available research we have to make sure, as much as possible, that it isn't, but then also testing. So as we continue to grow, something that I think we're excited to have baked in is the ability to just run tests and see, are there any adverse effects coming out of this? And just be able to constantly prioritize minimizing those adverse effects. And then on top of it, just from a public relations standpoint, being able to talk about that and to say, here's what happens in the hiring process as a whole with regard to discrimination. This is what it actually looks like. Here's what it's looked like in the past when people in specific situations use blind matching, use more algorithmic matching. Because even when people don't use a system like ours in a structured interview process, people basically use an algorithm. It's just one that you're individually applying. And that's been shown in a lot of great research studies to cut down on bias and on discrimination. So that's where we start with it. Like Amy said, we've been live just since this summer, so we don't have enough data right now to be able to say, here are big numbers about what we do. So we can point to all of the great research that's already out there. I think we have time for one more.
Yes.
Just want to know, apart from like all the research that's out there, how is it difficult to communicate to employers that this is something that's true? How do you guys go about communicating?
So luckily, some employers are very aware of the issue, and some of them have actually come to us. We're also trying to explain the financial benefits. Like we said, companies with more diversity are likely to financially outperform their less diverse competitors. So we're trying to kind of explain the financial reasons for those employers.
Yeah. One of the anecdotes that we like to point to is a great study, and I know we're about to run short on time. There's a great study of the Boston Symphony Orchestra moving to blind auditions. Previously, people would watch the musicians audition, but in a symphony, there's one thing that's important, and it's how you sound. And when the BSO switched to blind auditions, where you don't see the person, you only listen to them, the demographics of the orchestra changed dramatically and quickly, from about 5% women to about 25% women. And these are lifetime tenure positions. And we know, because people are only listening to the one important thing of how do you sound, that the orchestra was getting better people by going blind. And that's what we're trying to do for all organizations, is say you're going to get better people if you go blind, and everybody wants better people. Thanks.
Thank you so much.